Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. And we have a beautiful, powerful beginning, continuation to these July energies. It's an action-packed month, astrologically, cosmically, universally. We're going to see as above, so below. Welcome, Alicia. Welcome, Kiki. So let's jump in. Let's take a quick look at the main energies. And what we really want to focus on here is double sevens, this legions, army, correct discipline. Legions is, of course, the unseen. It's the all that is. It's that resides within us, and that we have everything that we need at all times. And to use it, with great power comes great responsibility to use it correctly with discipline. Double sevens, keep that in mind. So now let's jump to, because what we're working with is Neptune stationing retrograde on 7/7. And this at 4 degrees Aries, and 4 is foundational. Neptune will be retrograde from July 7th, 7/7, to December 12th, 12/12/2026. As it does so, we are being asked to shed the illusions. I'm getting there. I'm building up to this. I want to back up for a minute, though. So, Neptune stationing retrograde on the 7th, 7/7. It will be so until 12/12. This is an excerpt from Greg Braden. It's an email that I received, and it says, "What if history is bigger than we've been told? Across the world, discoveries are emerging that challenge the boundaries of mainstream history. Ancient sites aligned with remarkable precision, mathematics embedded within architecture, evidence suggesting capabilities and technologies we are only beginning to understand. These are not isolated anomalies. They are part of a growing body of evidence inviting us to reconsider what we know about our past and what it may reveal about our future. Where there has been illusion, delusion, collusion, all of these things, this Neptune retrograde burns away the rose-colored glasses. It burns away the illusions so that we see things, perhaps for the very first time, clearly, purely, with great authenticity. And so, as we're working with, here's the Neptune chart, when it stations retrograde, 4 degrees Aries, 4 is a foundational number. It's 4 legs on a chair. It's what gives us foundation and so forth. And when I looked at the chart, intuitively what I heard is the party's over. So I want to jump into the party's over. And we're going to take this in 2 parts. The first part, and let me just say, Neptune stations retrograde in the fiery sign of Aries running from July 7th to December 12th. This 158-day phase marks a collective, quote, reality check. The planet of dreams and illusion removes the rose-tinted glasses, urging us to look past superficial facades and uncover the truth in our personal and professional lives. This is the party's over. So spiritually, the party's over represents a season of awakening, spiritual surrender, and the end of temporary illusions. It signifies a shift from worldly distractions, superficial pleasures, the party or the ego-driven indulgences, and a return to your core truth, reality, and soul purpose. This is a returning home, a returning to the soul, to your divinity, that legions, army within that's present. It's about shedding the ego. In many spiritual traditions, partying symbolizes living purely for the senses, validation, and transient earthly joys. When the party is over, it signifies the death of an old identity or egoic cycle. It is a spiritual invitation to look inward, take responsibility for your actions, and align with your true self rather than external distractions. It's the dark night transition. Spiritually, this phrase often mirrors, and that was from mirrors from last week, the transitional in-between periods of life. The sudden silence about the music stops can initially feel like emptiness or heartbreak. However, this quiet is often a necessary spiritual clearing space, the dark night of the soul, to allow for deep healing, resetting your values, and making room for new growth. So this time period with Neptune stationing retrograde and being retrograde, it's about, again, seeing truth, piercing all of the illusion, getting honest and real with ourselves, taking off the rose-colored glasses, recognizing, and you'll see here, it's coming up, it's number 1 from the unseen. It's a call to discernment. In Judeo-Christian frameworks, a party spirit is sometimes viewed as factionalism or a distraction that pulls a person's allegiance away from their spiritual center. This is taking us off of true north. Where are we way off course? And how we come back to our center, soul self connection. When this is over, it represents a recalibration of your spirit, a time to practice discernment, end toxic cycles, and recommit to your values. And lastly, it's a karmic reckoning. Throughout history, the idiom, the party's over, has been used to describe the end of irresponsible or carefree periods. In a karmic or biblical sense, such as the fall of Babylon, it can act as a divine warning that a period of spiritual pride or reckless living has caught up with you. It is the universe's way, the unseen's way of saying it is time to harvest the lessons and make amends. It's about coming back home to center. This karmic reckoning, number 1 from the unseen. The writings on the wall. Where you have been careless, careless is our key word. Where you have been careless, the bill comes due. 3 exclamation points. Before I go to our keyword careless, I want to go to the biblical association with the party's over. In the Bible, the phrase the party's over spiritually represents the moment when God's patience gives way to divine judgment, or when the temporary worldly distractions of this life are replaced by eternal realities. Neptune retrograde, it's a burning away the illusions. It burns away the illusions that man is in charge, or man dictates and controls. Man meaning the ego, the I, and that it is the we. the soul source connection, the unseen, the soul that leads and guides. So we've been in this millennia of the illusion and the delusion that we control. We, the I, the human, versus the soul. It serves as a stern warning against spiritual complacency, self-indulgence, and ignoring the divine's will, the divine timing of things. Biblical themes surrounding the end of the party focus on accountability, the return of Master Jesus, and the ultimate banquet of God. The handwriting on the wall, Daniel 5. The most famous example is the fall of King Belshazzar. While he and his nobles were drinking and mocking the God of heaven, a hand miraculously wrote his doom on the wall. This demonstrates that God numbers the days of the proud, and sudden judgment will inevitably follow. This is about, wrath, retribution, and so forth, on behalf of illicitness, shadow, hubris, arrogance, where we're mocking the purity of the divine that resides within us. 7, legions, army, correct discipline. There's the parable of the great banquet from Luke 14. This passage contrasts those who miss out on God's kingdom because they prioritize worldly, quote, parties, possessions, personal projects, masks, identities, labels, these things of a material nature. When the originally invited guests offer excuses, the master declares that their time is up and opens the doors to the outcasts, permanently closing the door to those who were too busy. This is all about be ready, be in alignment. Are you living in alignment with your soul source connection, or are you in alignment with True North? And True North means your spiritual destiny, your soul's path, or are you on an earthly ego-driven path that is not in alignment with your soul's journey? It's about the preparation of Christ's return, Luke 13. Master Jesus warns against the wicked servant who says, "My master is a long time in coming," allowing himself to live recklessly. The party ends when the master returns unexpectedly, highlighting the need for continual faithfulness rather than worldly indulgence. And last but not least, it's about Babylon's fall, Revelation 18. In the book of Revelation, the sudden violent destruction of the corrupt world system, Babylon, represents the absolute end of secular indulgence and wealth. When the lights go out, it signifies the end of worldly pleasure. So this is where the imbalance is so great. And we're watching this, we're witnessing this on the world stage. This literal imbalance, the illicitness, all of the seven sins, if you will, like all of these items that are so icky is the only word that comes to mind. They're just icky, they're goo, they're icky. The writing's on the wall, where you have been careless, the bill comes due. And so our keyword is careless. So this is about the harmony, the rebalancing of the scales from a spiritual perspective. And you see what were the images of broken glass in all of these rainbow colored shards. Well, careless is an action, thought, or attitude done without sufficient attention, caution, or effort. It's done with or acting with insufficient care and attention, negligent, marked by lack of consideration, forethought, or thoroughness. That's the meaning of careless. Spiritually, careless means a state of negligence, indifference, or taking divine gifts and principles for granted. This is about taking our soul, the unseen, for granted. It represents spiritual complacency, where prayer, growth, meditation, and moral boundaries become optional, leaving you vulnerable to stagnation and disconnection from your inner purpose. This is again ignoring one's soul, the unseen, the divine. In spiritual complacency, taking grace, blessings, or spiritual gifts for granted, which causes sacred practices to become mundane routines or completely ignored, mocked. It's about a lack of vigilance, lowering your guard and falling prey and failing to pay attention to your conduct, thoughts, or inner alignment, which often leads to stumbling. And lastly, neglect of duty, ignoring your spiritual path, the needs of others, or inner wisdom. This is a massive course correction. July, this whole 2026, it is a reset year. You'll see that it's number 4. So we're talking about Neptune stationing at 4 degrees Aries, retrograde at 4 degrees Aries. Number 4 from the unseen. We're moving on up to the east side. A return of epoch proportions. Epoch means a specific point in time. It can also mean a distance exceeding, got to put my specs on, a distinct expansion of time, extended period of time. So it's a return of epoch proportions. It's like epic, but epoch, meaning a specific period and an extended period of time. It's big. So we're moving on up. Got to take off the rose-colored glasses. We've got to see the truth because we're up-leveling. We're shifting octaves. And so we have to be able to see the purity of the truth. Well, that begins within. We have to be willing to look at ourselves within. And that's whether it's a person, a place, a thing, a business, a thing, a place, a city, each place has energy. So we have to be willing to look at ourselves, our communities, our institutions, our governments, corporations, businesses. They're all comprised of people. And then the energy is shared, met. And this is where we take off the glasses to see ourselves more purely, more clearly. So moving on up. Where did that go? Yes, we have this. We're moving on up. We're moving on up. There we go. Got to get the right letter. Spiritually, we're moving on up signifies a profound transition of elevation, divine promotion, and breaking free from spiritual stagnation or worldly burdens. It represents an intentional shift from survival mode into a space of greater blessing, spiritual maturity, and alignment with your higher purpose. We've talked about this with the forge and everything, in order to get the purity of the iron ore, the impurities are pounded out. They're placed in the forge, heated to great intensity, temperature, and then pounded out. What remains is pure iron ore. So it's upward elevation, moving from a valley, a place of trials or learning, to a higher vantage point of faith, clarity, and peace. It reflects the biblical concept of being lifted up or receiving a new status or divine favor. It's about leaving limitations behind. In theology and cultural context, the phrase famously popularized by the Jeffersons, that's a TV show in 60s or 70s, I think it was the 70s, in the United States, symbolizes rising above societal or economic limitations and stepping into the abundance and freedom that the divine provides. Spiritually, this can mean shedding old mindsets, fears, or generational cycles that kept you bound. This is where we've been, in this illusion, delusion, collusion, that we are not one with the unseen, that we are divine, and that here's the confines, the scripts, the data points, the matrix that keeps us down, limited, confined, defined. This is removing all of that. This is the lifting of the veil, the tearing of the veil. We're coming to that. And so While the show's themes this week that are arcing out, this is going to be 158 days of Neptune retrograde, this month of very powerful month of July. What it's saying to us is it's reminding us of where we've been so that we know where we're going, that when we get there, we're liberated. We're not stuck or stagnating or clinging and hanging, trying to reverse time. We see this on the world stage. Those that so fear what's before us, that they're doing everything in their human power, to prevent or stop the divine. It's impossible. It's futile. It would be comical if it wasn't so harmful. However, the divine, the unseen, the divine, God, the all that is, always triumphs. There's historical and biblical recordation of that. It's assured. And so it's about leaving the limitations behind. It's about divine alignment and momentum. It reflects a season where your heart, actions, and destiny are all falling into step with a higher spiritual calling. That's the Ahura Mazda, the Mazda engine, the triangle, where, again, in this context, the heart, the actions, and destiny, the rotary engine is like a triangle. It moves. They're all integrated and operate as one. It's not the piston engine where they're individual pistons and they move up and down vertically. This is in a triangular harmonic motion. So it reflects a season where your heart, actions, and destiny are all falling into step with a higher spiritual calling. You are moving out of your comfort zone and into divine provision. It's about ascension and renewal. It evokes the idea of putting on a heavenly body or shifting your focus from earthly, temporary struggles to immortal, eternal truths. The immortal, eternal truth is we are one. We are all one. We are divine. Our foundation is love, purity, love. When do unto others as you would have done to you. Love thy neighbor as thyself. These simple principles that say we would never have harm or war or goo, ick, shadow, when we simply lived by those two simple truths, purity, simple truths. But because we haven't, here we are. It's lastly a call to action. Ultimately, the spiritual journey requires motion, stepping out of the familiar to embrace the purpose laid out before you. The purpose is laid out before us. It's ascension. It is transformation, transfiguration, transmutation. It's moving forward. The arc of destiny moves forward. And so this is where the writing's on the wall. The party's over. The writing's on the wall. Where you have been careless, the bill comes due. And Neptune is removing the illusion for the truth, the purity of it to come forward. Alicia is saying the American TV series The Jeffersons aired from 75 to 85. There we go. Their theme song started with "We're moving on up to the east side to a deluxe apartment in the sky." We're moving on up to a deluxe apartment, meaning a whole new octave, new operating system in the sky. It's an elevation. This is also then number 2 from the unseen. They said, quote, the tearing of the veil, bringing to the fore what was paid for long ago. There's a direct connection. There's deliverance. Deliverance is a formal liberation. So the tearing of the veil. And here, at the exact moment Master Jesus died on the cross, the massive veil separating the Holy of Holies in the Jerusalem temple tore from the top to the bottom. Recorded in the Gospels, this dramatic event symbolized the end of the barrier between God, the divine, the unseen, and humanity, granting believers direct access through Master Jesus is Christ's sacrifice. This is when he said, when he was tossing the tables and he was chastising the Pharisees, saying to them, "You bar from the people what is rightfully theirs." I'm paraphrasing. What was rightfully theirs was, and is your direct connection, our direct connection to the divine, the unseen, the all that is, the Mother, the Father, all the divinity within us. Which is why he said, go in the closet where nobody sees you and pray, speak to the Father, go directly. He was saying to us 2,000 years ago, go directly. You have a direct connection. That's your soul source connection. Listen to it. Go as guided. But instead, earthly distractions, material, and then the greed, the shadow, the corruption, all of this stuff gets in the way because we go off course from true center. Neptune, stationing retrograde in Aries, fire, is going to burn all of that away. So the tearing of the veil is recorded in 3 Gospels, Matthew 27, Mark 15, and Luke 23. It notes that immediately after Master Jesus cried out and breathed his last breath, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. It echoes that account. So Mark echoes the account of Matthew, confirming the veil tore from the top to the bottom, precisely as Master Jesus died. And Luke places the tearing just after the sun was darkened, immediately preceding the final breath. And so the physical veil in the ancient temple, the veil was a massive, thick curtain measuring roughly 60 feet high and woven from blue, purple, and scarlet material. It stood as the ultimate physical barrier, shielding the Holy of Holies, the earthly dwelling place of God, of God's presence. Under Old Testament law, entry was strictly forbidden to anyone and everyone except the high priest, who could only pass through it once a year on the Day of Atonement to offer sacrifices for the sins of the nation. The tearing of the veil is rich with theological meaning, extensively explained in the New Testament book of Hebrews. It granted direct access to God, to the divine. The ripping of the veil symbolized that the separation between a holy God and sinful humanity was destroyed. Believers no longer need an earthly high priest to intercede on their behalf. This is what Master Jesus was saying before this. Go direct. A new and living way. Living way. It's not stagnant. It's not fixed. It's living waters, a living way. The book of Hebrews, specifically Hebrews 10, 19, 20, explains that the torn curtain represents Master Jesus' own flesh. By his sacrifice, Christians now have confidence to enter the most holy place. Remember, that was extended. So move this beyond a religion, i.e. Christians. This is speaking to 8 billion souls on the planet. This direct connection to the divine, this ability to be one with, to hear what your soul's guidance, purpose, purity is, intention is, and to live that life. We are the custodians of the soul. So the I, the human, is the custodian, the vessel, the custodian. We receive, and we've talked about this inversion of where we've been and where we're going. Where we've been is the I control. I. The soul, the spirit, is rarely thought of, rarely considered, mocked, denied. That knowing, divine feminine knowing, intuition, denied. And now we move to this place, and back then, 2,000 years ago, Master Jesus is saying, listen, go direct. bypass all of this and listen. Go direct to the purity of your soul, to the purity of your essence. It will only ever guide you true north. And that opportunity, that life, that journey is far more great and expansive than the one you will ever choose yourself, free will. So divine will, free will. We have free will. We don't have to listen. That's a choice. And when we don't, well, the writing's on the wall. Where you have been careless, the bill comes due. There are many that have, and to varying degrees, but there is great carelessness being demonstrated on the world stage. Great carelessness, great fear. All this posturing, all of this attempting to manipulate and control the masses. In this message 2,000 years ago, where the Pharisees were manipulating, controlling, preventing, keeping from the people what is rightly theirs, it's happening today. It's a different, astrology is cyclical, not identical. It's still powers that be manipulating and controlling to prevent humanity from awakening, from listening, to recognizing their divine abilities, capabilities, essences. This is what Greg Braden is speaking to. Look at all of the historical things, technologies we're just beginning to understand, and yet we're the most advanced society of humans? Really? Because history says otherwise. And when we awaken to these truths, it awakens in us this tearing of the veil, bringing to the fore what was paid for long ago. It was already paid for. We were told then the bill comes due. We're moving on up to the east side, a return of epoch proportions. It's epic. And epoch meaning it's a specific period in time, and it represents a distinct, extended period of time. And so it's a new living way, and then it's a completion of the old covenant. It signified the fulfillment of the old covenant and the institution of the new covenant, demonstrating that Master Jesus's, Christ's shed blood was the ultimate once and for all atonement for sin, for the fall, for the separation. And thus we have unity. In order to do that, we have to begin within. We have to do that. We have to reconcile that, accounting that bill within first. Well, then it multiplies. That ripple effect. And this is what the powers that be want to prevent. They want to prevent the awakening, the arrival, the atonement, the up-leveling. We're moving on up. They want to prevent the disillusion, the delusion, the corrupting. They want to maintain that. They don't want it to go away. And so they're cleaving and clinging, trying to reverse time, cling to power. All of this manipulation and control. For what? It's futile. It's happening nonetheless. So our job is to listen to your soul source connection, your intuition, your knowing. It's deep. It's quiet. It's not your ego mind. It's not monkey mind. It's not the monkeys at the lake. It's not your ego mind personality. It's not fear-based. It is love-based. It is pure. It can be direct. It can whisper. But it will speak clearly to you. It's number 3 from the unseen, direct access and interstellar awakening. So this is all about, for 2,000 plus years, this has been about a direct connection, direct access, direct connection, deliverance. And then the unseen is saying an interstellar awakening. Interstellar refers to something situated or occurring in the vast space between or among stars. It comes from the Latin prefix inter, meaning between, and stella, meaning star. The interstellar space, the physical region of outer space that exists beyond the boundaries of our solar system or any other star's solar system or heliosphere. It's, last week, what lies beyond. What lies beyond us? Well, what lies beyond us? Direct access, an interstellar awakening. It's going to be an awakening from within. It's going to be a shift in consciousness, a shift in octave, an up-leveling. Due to the tearing of the veil, bringing to the fore what was paid for long ago. And it's not only our job, it's our opportunity, it's our job, it's our responsibility. And this is not a religious statement. This does not have to do or is not limited or confined to Christianity. This is a universal spiritual message of purity, of truth, of divinity that says, listen to your soul source connection. Are you in alignment with it? Where there are impurities, where you have been careless, the bill comes due. So there's a reckoning, a reconciliation of what needs to occur to come back to true north. Be ready. Are we in alignment with it? The more you're living in alignment with the purity of your soul, the easier the flow, the higher the ascension, the greater the ease. The further away from that, the worse it gets, the harder it gets. That's the moral of this major story. It's a major story. I don't know about all of you. Put in the comments, please. It's a major story of remembrance and empowerment. Remembrance meaning what's already been paid for, where we've been, how we've gotten to where we are. And empowerment meaning present opportunity and how it changes everything. Let's switch quickly. I want to go to North Point Journal. This is Pam Youngins, and she says, Neptune at a standstill. Mystical, mysterious Neptune looms large energetically as it comes to a standstill and turns retrograde this week, 7/7. When a planet nears the point of its station, it appears to move more and more slowly through the heavens. After it changes direction, meaning it's going to reverse, it takes a few weeks to get back up to normal speed. During this time of being at a virtual standstill, we usually feel that planet's influence at a heightened level. Neptune, like all the planets, has both positive expression and a shadow side. So there are a wide variety of symptoms we might experience this week. Because it's stationing, its energy is felt more strongly. On the plus side, meditations, dreams, and the creative arts are enhanced as our abilities to visualize and to rise above limitations of time and space are augmented. We're coming to our main theme. So time and space are augmented. We may also feel more in tune with the flow of the energies and be more sensitive to intuition and higher guidance. Understanding, compassion, and forgiveness can be easier to access when Neptune's influence is strong. We are more able to see what we have in common with others and are less likely to judge. However, in our desire to see the best in someone, to know them only by their soul attributes, we might miss red flags or not understand the difference between assistance and enabling. This is taking off the rose-colored glasses. So, it's Maya Angelou. People are always showing you who they are. Believe them the first time. See things for what they truly are. Don't be pessimistic. Just see truth. Also, on the more challenging side, it could be harder to focus on practical matters this week. We might feel somewhat foggy and unclear about our next steps. A lack of attention to details or a tendency to over-idealize a situation could result in feeling disillusioned or deceived. So take the time to walk, to see things with clarity. Introspection. When a planet is retrograde, the energies are internalized. They're not externalized. It is in Aries, however. So Aries is action, it's fire. The Sabian symbol. To gain more insights into this very Neptunian period, we can look to the Sabian symbols, a set of 360 metaphoric images. The images, which provide symbolic interpretations of each degree of the zodiac, were created in 1925, so they're 102 years old, by astrologer Mark Edmund Jones and clairvoyant Elsie Wheeler. The symbol for the 5th degree of Aries, because you always advance the Sabian symbol by 1 degree, where Neptune stations, emphasizes many of the positive qualities of the watery planet. The Sabian symbol for Aries 5 is, quote, a triangle with wings, the capacity for self-transcending. Astrologer Dane Rudyear's interpretation of this image from his book An Astrological Mandala reads, which we quote often in Weekly Wisdom and Insights, the Astrological Mandala by Dane Rudyear. This is the symbol of the desire to reach a higher level of existence, of pure aspiration or devotion, of bhakti. What has emerged in the first phase of the process of differentiation is becoming aware of the possibility of further upreachings. So where the I, this process of differentiation, right? We come in, the soul comes in, it's a fractal of the divine, a spark of the divine. It differentiates the I, and then the I realizes, hey, wait a minute, we become aware of the possibility of further upreaching. We're moving on up to the east side. A return of apex proportions, recognizing a higher octave, a more expansive self. The principle of levitation is seen as one of the 2 essential factors in evolution. The emergent, all of us, 8 billion souls, the emergent being glorifies and deifies it, but it is still only an ideal. At this stage, nevertheless, the whole being experiences a childlike longing for its eventual realization. We all have this childlike longing, knowing of a greater utopia, a greater world, life, this place where everything, heaven on earth seems perfect. Remember that pure perfect? Where it's the ideal of something. It's not perfection, it's the ideal of it. It's the harmony of it. It's the oneness of it. At this point, quote, a new dimension of being is envisioned, mobilizing creative endeavors. So it's literally, we're being presented with the vision. So we can envision, now we mobilize the creative endeavors. It means we take action. We burn away the illusion, the delusion, the rose-colored glasses. We take them off. We see the writings on the wall. Where we've been careless, the bill comes due. It's the tearing of the veil that gives us direct access, an interstellar awakening. Boom. And so we have this, and our mantra, I just want to bring this in because it's on point to this Sabian symbol. It's really from this Sabian symbol. A new dimension awakens within me. And you see the pyramid with wings. That we are a fractal. We are this beautiful, iridescent fractal spark of the divine that takes flight. A new dimension awakens within me. It's going to awaken within all of us. And so we have this opportunity in this moment, very loudly from the unseen, to awaken, to listen, to wake up. The bill comes due. The party's over. And that means the party, the illicitness, the goo, the shadow, the carelessness, all of that, the party's over, the bill comes due. That's the impurity in the iron ore that has to be pounded out, removed, so that what remains is pure, good, of service, of value, uncorrupted. And I want to bring in, well, we're going to go to number 5. They said the tower we've all been waiting for. Well, here we both have the tower in the tarot. It always, kind of freaks people out in tarot readings that you get a tower. Remember, the towers don't have to be bad. And this, number 5, which denotes change from the unseen, is the tower we've all been waiting for. And so the tower card represents sudden, unavoidable upheaval, destruction, and chaos. It signifies the sudden collapse of structures, beliefs, or relationships built on faulty foundations. While often jarring, this destruction is a necessary release that clears the way for a fresh start. So this is not about, so yes, things may come to an end and foundations collapse, the bill comes due, the party's over. That's not a bad thing, especially when it's about the goo, the shadow, the illicitness, the faulty foundations, the things that keep us bound or down. Upright, it's about sudden crisis, revelation, ego-shattering events, and forced awakening. Remember, forced growth, forced awakening. It often indicates that what you refuse to leave voluntarily will be removed by circumstance. It's about this up-leveling because the tower clears away the debris, the obstructions that liberates us. It's also our first quote. And this was from, we've had this image before. It's "The beginning is near," from the Imaginary Foundation. The quote is by Friedrich Nietzsche. It says, "Out of life's school of war, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger." And again, you see in the 4, in the lower part of the image, it's the destruction and the chaos, the graffiti, the crooked ladder. I mean, think about that. Jacob's ladder is this pure divine ladder. It's, this straight, erect ladder, direct access to the divine. But in this image, look how crooked and bent the ladder is. And yet somehow this lone individual, this lone man, stands looking over the edge of the chaos, of the goo, of the past, of the sin, the fall, of where we've been, out to the extraordinary image of what lies beyond, to the unseen, to the cosmos, to that interstellar awakening. And this is what's on offer to us. This is what is present, what is arriving, what is present. Welcome calling. So it's an extraordinary moment in time, in this tower moment. The tower we've all been waiting for. Remember 7-7 from the beginning of the show. It's that Neptune stationed retrograde on the 7th of July, 7-7. We have 7-7. It's July is a 7. The numbers today culminate in a 7, so double 7s. And what this is speaking to, this 7-7, and it said the return. So these energies are speaking to the tearing of the veil, in essence, the second coming, the return of a higher octave, a millennium period that ushers in a direct connection, a deliverance, a utopia, a heaven on earth, and how that will ultimately shift us as we move forward. The main theme, we've not come to our main theme, and I'm going to come back to this, but the main theme is last week's astrological influence is this week's main theme, looking through the looking glass. Time forever changes. This is going to feel like we're looking through the looking glass, like we fall into another world. It will come in stages, it will come in layers, waves, stages. I understand how otherworldly this all sounds. I have not lost the plot line. I'm not, off the reservation or anything. I understand the words that are coming out of my mouth and that the unseen is asking me to share with all of you. But it is a leveling up. It is a tearing of the veil and bringing to the fore what was paid for long ago. It is about this moment. And yes, peoples have been waiting 2 millennia for this. I understand all of that. I share the messages that they bring forward, they, the unseen, bring forward, and that this tower moment is upon us. I want to talk about time forever changes. And yes, Colleen is saying the fire horse accelerates. Exactly. The Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees Aries. It's at the very beginning point of the zodiac. Complete reset. Hasn't happened in 6,000, 9,000, 10,000 years. There's no recorded history of what happened the last time that occurred. There's so many major astrological events taking place, as we've talked about, in the last 14 to 16 months, let alone in these first 6 months of 2026. We're hitting a threshold point, a culmination point in July. So spiritually, time forever changing represents your transition into a higher state of consciousness, where you realize the present moment is a fluid, ever-present reality. It's not linear. It's not fixed. It's a living way. It's a living waters. It's living, meaning, and we're moving, remember, astrologically, all the major outer planets, generation, that represent generational themes, direction, moving from earth and water to fire and air. Things become fluid. They become advanced. They become higher. They move faster. To Colleen's point, we've got the fire horse accelerating that. And one second, she's saying you can feel it as we watch, yes, as people are losing because they can't control or stop time. This is time forever changes. So what worked in the past, and this is where we're all individually experiencing this, it's not business as usual astrology. Well, it's not business as usual life. What worked in the past, where we've been, no longer works because it can be corrupted. This old operating system has been infiltrated, corrupted. The new one is pure. So raw iron ore has impurities, in the fire, forging, pounding. What is left is pure. The old, this corruptedness, will not go into the new. It does not work. And so we're experiencing this time forever changes. It's about the concept of time changing forever means letting go of anxiety about the past or the future and to rest in the eternal present. The I am, the eternal present, your soul. Because when we reside as our soul self, anything that we're dealing with, quote unquote, in the 3D, it doesn't become irrelevant, but it becomes clear. Because we stop listening to our ego, our mind, the monkey mind chatter, and we say, okay, soul, okay, God, the divine, the all that is, however you ascribe, show me, tell me what I need to know. in this relationship, in this opportunity, in this choice before me. And when you listen to your soul, it tells you exactly what you need to know. It tells you what to do or what not to do. In the answer of what not to do, contained within that is, it's telling me not to do this, XYZ. Okay, which tells me something. It tells me something else is coming. Something, divine time, will, and order. Something higher, something greater. So what am I to do in this moment? What's the next step? You'll hear something. You'll know what to do. That's being ready. That's living in alignment with your soul source connection. So when the appropriate time arrives, you're right on time. You're not way off course having to make your way back. You're already present. You're already in the queue. You're already, you've already crossed the platform, the train analogy. Just going to bring up, you're already sitting on the golden ticket train. You're already a passenger. You already have your ticket. It's already present. It's within you. You're already on the train awaiting its departure. Where is it going? Where is it going to take me? And you'll know step by step. And there's a lot of grace and patience and commitment and fortitude that's required to stay in alignment with your soul source connection. It's why people fall away, fall out, take the easier, lesser road that leads them off that golden path. Because the mind says it's easy. Oh, I'll just go do this. Oh, I can ignore that. I'll forgo that. But the bill comes due. The party's over. The bill comes due. So it's also about the power. Spiritual time is not predetermined. It's rather about divine timing, which manifests when you actively align your choices and your beliefs with your highest potential. This is what we were just talking about. Your active participation shapes your future reality. So when we're in alignment and we stay in alignment and we make choices from the purity of that alignment, your future reality is being manifested, created. It's about embracing impermanence. Everything is constantly changing. Accepting this flow, living way, living waters, accepting this flow allows you to trust the beauty of impermanence. Releasing attachments to material or external things, people, places, things, masks, identities, labels, scripts, stories, truths that we tell ourselves to make way for the truth. And these external things that no longer serve our growth. It's about releasing these things and embracing impermanence. It's about embracing change. Impermanence is change. And timeline shifts. It's about experiencing a drastic shift in time can be a sign that you are moving on to an alternate timeline. Move it on up. This brings deep inner transformation, causing past emotional triggers to lose their power, their control, making way for new synchronicities, beautiful events, things that synchronicities are things we show up or we get a knowing and we follow it and something unexpected occurs. It's a life driven by purpose. There's deep value here in this awakening, this up-leveling, this return, 77, the return. And the unseen said, the moment everything changes. So we have this looking through the looking glass. Time forever changes. And Neptune stationing retrograde, and how that, over the course of these next 158 days, is going to burn away the illusion, the delusion. Quote 2 is from Astrology by Lauren. And she says, dare to dream your dreams. And this kaleidoscope of fractal glass, stained glass, and all of the imagery. You see this theme of the prisms, the fractals, the iridescence, the rainbow colors, this dare to dream your dream. your dreams. In Astrology by Lauren, on July 4th, Mars made an exact conjunction to erratic and explosive Uranus. Mars conjunct Uranus is the trigger, is the lighting the fuse, the ignition of all of this that we're talking about. Mars is a planet that often acts as a catalyst. It encourages us to do something. Mars-Uranus can be a pivot, a time to initiate or act on all things that you've been thinking about. And that is despite Mercury being retrograde, because right now, until the 23rd of July, Mercury is retrograde. Mars is activating the Uranian wing of the July cradle. There's a cradle upcoming. One of the most significant planetary events of the year. For not only is Mars stirring up excitement for all things new, innovative, and unique, it is also aspecting all the other planets involved in this rare configuration. Mars is trying to make it all that much more personal. It's bringing it home. On Tuesday, July 7th, Neptune, which also plays a part in the cradle, stations retrograde, as if to say, hey, don't forget about me. When planets station, they make themselves known, and Neptune is doing so with bells on this year. Uranus and Neptune will make an exact sextile, that's a harmonious aspect in astrology, on July 15th, solidifying their pact to unite in a shared cause. The last time Uranus and Neptune were sextile was in the late 60s, when Uranus and Pluto, both in Virgo at the time, were sextile Neptune. This time around, Neptune is sextile both Uranus and Pluto again. What we saw then were a series of progressive, revolutionary movements. The anti-war movement, the civil rights and women's rights movements, and the environmental movement, which culminated with Earth Day in 1970. Look at all of these advancements, these movements, these up-levelings, these liberations. The Uranus-Neptune transit may be subtle, but combined with all the other significant outer transits of the cradle, which is occurring mid-July, it becomes that much more of a powerful force for humanitarian pursuits and progressive growth and change. We are being asked to lead with our ideals rather than our pockets. Lead with your soul source connection. Lead with the we, the united aspect of ourselves. The do unto others as we would have done to us. When we lead from that pure perfection, that ideal, rather than our pockets, as Astrology by Lauren is speaking to, it's a game changer, it's a life change. To lean into social changes that take into consideration the betterment of humanity as a whole, while challenging old stagnant concepts and policies that limit the evolutionary progress of society. The evolutionary progress of society terrifies those who have been in control and power. It terrifies them. Their train has come into the station. It's done. It's over. That time forever changes. That time is over. They're aware of the new time, the new octave, the new energy, and it terrifies them. Because they're no longer in charge. They never were. But this is where the awakening occurs within all of us, and the people, we the people, they rise. The American Republic, the Constitution, we the people. It was founded on these very principles of liberty and justice for all, this future-thinking ideal that said from the past experience, we will create a better, more pure future. Astrology by Lauren concludes with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Whatever career you may choose for yourself, doctor, lawyer, teacher, let me propose an avocation to be pursued along with it. Become a dedicated fighter for civil rights. Make it a central part of your life. It will make you a better doctor, a better lawyer, a better teacher. It will enrich your spirit as nothing else possibly can. It will give you that rare sense of nobility that only comes from love and selflessly helping your fellow man. Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for human rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in. That sums up this entire point of Neptune stationing retrograde, Mars conjunct Uranus, Mercury retrograde, the Aries aspect, the fire horse aspect, this looking through the looking glass, time forever changes, this leveling up, that which was paid for long ago, and the bill coming due. The party's over. The carelessness is done. The divine is done with the carelessness. And there is biblical, historical reference as to what happens each time. When that imbalance becomes too great, the divine steps in. You can look it up. So, anyways, here we are. I do want to get this in, so I'm gonna jump in here really quick and continue and finish off with astrologer Juliana McCarthy from etherealculture.com. And it is, if June, it's the astrology of July 2026, the cat's cradle forms. If June was an exhale, July is the sharp inhale before everything begins moving again. The month opens already in motion, with Jupiter now in Leo. So Jupiter's moved into Leo, while immediately squaring, that's a frictional aspect, it's backed up tension that needs to be released. So while immediately squaring Chiron in Taurus. The sky doesn't loosen its grip from here. We move through a Mars-Uranus conjunction, a Cancer new moon that's coming up, I believe, on the 14th, Neptune's first retrograde in Aries, 7-7, and finally arrive at the long-building cat's cradle pattern that has been quietly weaving together beneath the surface. This is the most significant stretch of the year. The atmosphere is electric, occasionally overwhelming, and full of possibility. The first weeks ask us to hold the tension between security and self-expression while moving carefully through a few high-voltage days. Mid-month softens into something more interior. A Cancer new moon invites stillness before the current returns. The second half of July accelerates into one of the most important planetary configurations of our lifetimes. As Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Jupiter, they're all four of the outer planets, all activate in rapid succession. In the end, we arrive at an Aquarius full moon that's on the 29th of July that feels less like the culmination of a month and more like the climax of an entire era, a return of epic proportion. This moving on up. Neptune stations retrograde. Neptune turns retrograde in Aries at 4 degrees on July 7th, where it will remain until December 12th. This is Neptune's first retrograde since entering Aries, and it asks us to review our visions and ideals and question whether they still hold. Neptune in Aries carries a warrior archetype. Part of this review is a sober reflection. Which of our aspirations have we achieved, and what did they cost us? What price did we pay? Were they in alignment with the purity of your soul? What dream or dreams are we still carrying that may need to be revised rather than abandoned? Uranus, Pluto, and the build-up to the cat's cradle. The back half of July is where the month's real intensity gathers. The sextile between Uranus and Neptune becomes exact on the 15th of July, followed by the trine, harmonious aspect, between Uranus and Pluto on the 18th of July, one of the defining signatures of the year. Mars then sextiles Saturn on July 19th. Then in quick succession, Jupiter trines Neptune and opposes Pluto on the 20th of July, and sextiles Uranus on the 21st of July. That's a lot of astrological speak that you don't have to get don't worry that you don't understand it. It's high octane energy in quick succession. These days are high voltage. Because all three collective planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are activated through this period, and Jupiter touches each one of them within days. And Jupiter, what Jupiter touches, magnifies, amplifies, expands. The effects are likely to be visible well beyond our personal lives. Major events, world stage. We're living inside a years-long story here. The gradual shift from an Earth-dominant era to an air-dominant one. And this stretch of July makes that shift unusually clear. It's a strong window for advancing thoroughly prepared, well-grounded projects, the kind of undertaking that could genuinely succeed in a big way. The shadow side, as with any Icarus story, is hubris. Losing touch with reality or letting go losing touch with reality or letting ego outrun substance can turn a promising ascent into a hard fall. However, breakthrough energy is the most powerful it's possibly ever been, and this period of time holds the potential to turn our stories around, big and small, for the better. It's a once-in-humanity kind of moment that begins an entirely new era and establishes a fresh energetic frequency. Check yourself. Check whether your ego, are you in a state of hubris or humility, arrogance and entitlement, instead of service, love. Etherealculture.com. In the throes of an extreme summer marked by earthquakes and heat waves, may we meet this intensity with grounded realism, unwavering hope, and openness to magic. May we ride the electric currents with confidence and ease, building something real, even as change erupts rapidly. That change is the tower. The tower we've all been waiting for. And so as we build into the mid-month, these energies on the cradle, we'll see where this all leads. But on the world stage, the party's over. The bill comes due. We're leveling up. There's direct access. And it's time forever changes. Be well, be safe, be humble, be good and pure with yourselves and others. And we will see what the unseen has in store for us next week. We'll see you then.